3 children and their pregnant mother were found dead inside a car teetering on the edge of a cliff. But when police searched their home, they uncovered something even more horrifying: the truth behind one of Australia's darkest family massacres. It was July the 2nd, 1970, when a group of tourists in Port Campbell stumbled across that car, a Holden, hanging off the edge, one strong gust away from plunging into the sea. At first glance, it looked like a freak accident, until rescuers peered inside and froze. A pregnant mother and her 3 children were dead. When police traced the license plate to a quiet suburban home in Melbourne, they expected to deliver heartbreaking news to a grieving husband. Instead, what they found behind that front door revealed a nightmare beyond comprehension. The family. Therese Crawford was a devoted wife and mother. 12-year-old Catherine loved cooking. James adored trains. And little Karen's smile lit up the neighborhood. Therese was expecting her 4th child, and from the outside, the Crawford family looked ordinary, even happy. But appearances can hide monsters. Their husband and father, Elmer Crawford, was no ordinary man. Cold, secretive, and deeply calculating, he had a plan. And in that plan, his family wasn't his future. They were in the way. The crime unfolds. The night of July 1st, while neighbors attended choir practice next door, the Crawfords' home fell silent. Too silent. Behind closed doors, Elmer carried out one of the most chilling family annihilations in Australian history. Armed with a hammer and crude homemade electrical devices, he murdered his pregnant wife, his 3 children, and then meticulously dragged their bodies into the garage. In the heart of Perth, Western Australia, nestled between the Swan River and the Indian Ocean, lies a quiet neighborhood. It's the kind of place where kids play cricket in the street, dogs bark lazily in the afternoon heat, and the biggest worry seems to be where to buy fresh bread on a Sunday. But what if I told you this picture of suburban bliss was shattered 53 years ago by one of Australia's most heinous crimes? Imagine the shock waves that rippled through the close-knit community when their seemingly ordinary neighbor, Elmer Clarence Crawford, was accused of murdering his entire family. Yeah, I know. Hard to imagine, right? It sounds like something out of a suspense novel. Well, let me paint a clearer picture. It's 1969, and Elmer is your typical suburban dad. He coaches the local footy team, mows his lawn every Saturday, and seems to be just another face in the crowd. But behind closed doors, his house on 18A Turner Avenue is anything but normal. You see, this is where a dark secret festers, hidden beneath the roof tiles and neatly trimmed hedges. That's because this seemingly idyllic home became the scene of a brutal crime. Within its 4 walls, the lives of 3 people ended tragically. A crime so shocking, it left the nation in disbelief, and a mystery that continues to baffle investigators even today. And here's the real kicker. Despite the overwhelming evidence against him, Elmer Crawford, the prime suspect in this case, was never caught. As the years rolled by, the case grew colder, leaving the family of the victims and the public at large with a heavy dose of unanswered questions. Where is Elmer Crawford now? How did he get away with this horrific crime? And why did the man who allegedly killed his wife and 2 children vanish into thin air? Well, these are just some of the questions that continue to keep this case in the public eye after all this time. So let's dive into this haunting tale together. The year is 1969, a time when avocado toast wasn't trendy and bell-bottoms were all the rage. Life was pretty chill in the suburbs of Perth until the tranquility was shattered at 18A Turner Avenue. This was the home of the Croom family. Picture the typical Australian family unit, the kind you might have seen in movies. There was Edward Croom, the patriarch, a 54-year-old man who had worked as a carpenter. Then there was his wife, 38-year-old Patricia, who was known for her infectious laugh and warm hospitality. And finally, their two adorable children, 9-year-old Peter and 7-year-old Anne, the kind of kids who probably rode their bikes around the neighborhood and asked for your autograph after kicking a winning goal. Ah, the innocence of childhood. But unfortunately, this picture-perfect family portrait was just that, a facade. Behind the closed doors of 18A Turner Avenue, tensions were high, arguments were frequent, and the family dynamic was far from ideal. Elmer, a former champion sprinter and railway worker, was described as having a hot temper, prone to outbursts of anger that shook the foundations of their home. Now, we don't know much about what led to this explosive behavior. Maybe it was the pressure of providing for his family, or the weight of his own personal demons. Who knows? But one thing is clear. Elmer's volatile nature cast a long shadow over the family, threatening to consume them in its darkness. And then came the night that changed everything. The night when the cracks in the Croom family's facade turned into a chasm of unspeakable horror. It was a night like any other, or so it seemed. On the outside, the rhythm of suburban life continued. Crickets chirped in the twilight. The gentle hum of evening television drifted through open windows, and the scent of barbecue lingered in the air. But within the confines of the Croom household, a different kind of story was unfolding. That night, Elmer lost his temper again. We don't know exactly what set him off. Perhaps a mundane argument over chores or finances. Details like that are lost to the annals of time. What we do know is that things escalated quickly, and before long, fists were flying. As the fight reached its crescendo, Elmer grabbed a vase, his face contorted with rage, and smashed it on the floor. It was a pivotal moment, a breaking point, if you will. Patricia, shocked and frightened by her husband's uncontrolled outburst, decided she had had enough. She packed a small bag, grabbed the kids, and left the house, intending to find her own parents for help. But she didn't expect the horror that awaited her. Now, the details of what happened next are chilling and hard to comprehend. As Patricia and the kids were safely tucked away at her parents' house, a fire erupted at the Croom residence. Flames danced ominously in the night sky, casting an eerie glow on the faces of onlookers who gathered at a safe distance. It was a scene of chaos and confusion. The neighbors watched in suspense as firefighters battled to contain the blaze. Amidst the rising smoke and crackle of the flames, rumors began to spread like wildfire. Had the Crofts taken their own lives? Was it an accident or something more sinister? Questions hung in the air unanswered. When the fire was eventually put out, the full horror of the tragedy unfolded. Inside the charred remains of the house, the bodies of Edward, Patricia, and their two children were discovered. They had been brutally murdered, their lives extinguished in a horrifying instant. But the motive behind the crime remained shrouded in mystery, deepening the enigma of the case and leaving investigators scratching their heads. The aftermath of this tragic event sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community. The peaceful suburb of Perth was grappling with a nightmare scenario straight out of a horror movie. People struggled to come to terms with the brutality of the crime, wondering why such violence could erupt in their seemingly idyllic neighborhood. And then there was Elmer, nowhere to be found. As the investigation got underway, investigators noticed something peculiar. Elmer was missing. He had vanished into thin air, leaving behind his burnt-out house and the haunting memories of his family. Was he involved in the murders, or was he a victim himself? The questions swirled, adding another layer to to this already complex puzzle. But here's the twist that truly makes this case stand out. While the evidence against Elmer was substantial, it was all circumstantial. See, there were no witnesses to the crime. No one had seen Elmer with the children that fateful night. And despite the rumors and speculations, no one could provide concrete evidence placing him at the scene of the crime. It was a classic whodunit scenario, except the prime suspect was nowhere to be found. And without a confession or irrefutable proof, the case teetered on the edge of uncertainty. As the investigation continued, detectives followed every lead, no matter how tenuous. They scoured through Elmer's belongings, hoping to find a clue, a shred of evidence that could link him to the crime. But each item only raised more questions. His clothes were neatly folded in his wardrobe, as if he'd simply stepped out for a quick errand. The kitchen table was set for dinner. It was as if the family had vanished mid-meal. Everything pointed to a brutal crime, but nothing directly implicated Elmer. And so, the investigation hit a wall, leaving the community in a state of frustrated limbo. Justice for the Croft family seemed elusive. Without Elmer in custody, the quest for answers became a frustrating game of what-ifs. What really happened that night? Was Elmer capable of such violence? And why did he disappear if he was innocent? These questions reverberated through the community, each unanswered question echoing the pain of the victims' families. As the initial shock wore off, the community began to grapple with the enduring trauma of the crime. It was a heavy burden to bear, the knowledge that such darkness had infiltrated their midst. But amidst the grief and confusion, determination took root. Residents rallied together, determined to find justice for the Croft family. They organized vigils, shared their memories of their neighbors, and vowed to keep their spirits alive through storytelling. The community was shaken to its core, but it refused to be broken. For many years, the case of the Croom family murders remained unsolved. Elmer Crawford, the shadowy figure at the center of the mystery, became a ghost, a specter that haunted the dreams of investigators and residents alike. The reward for his capture stood as a testament to the community's desire for closure, a tangible symbol of their unwavering pursuit of justice. But as time marched on, the intensity of the manhunt gradually faded, replaced by a dull ache of remembrance. Each passing year brought a renewed wave of sorrow, a poignant reminder of the lives lost and the killer who remained at large. The case went from being the talk of the town to a whisper in the wind, a hushed account passed between those who had lived through the trauma of that era. But here's the thing, the passage of time hasn't diminished the impact of the crime. It's like trying to erase a scar, but the wound still throbs. The legacy of the Croom family murders continues to cast a long shadow over the community. It serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the elusiveness of justice in the face of unspeakable acts. The Croom family name echoes through the corridors of memory, forever etched in the annals of local tragedy. Even today, the mention of their names stirs a kaleidoscope of emotions in those who remember, a mix of sorrow, anger, and an unyielding thirst for justice. It's a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, their ability to endure, to heal, and to seek solace in shared memories. The Croom family murders remain a haunting chapter in the history of Perth, a somber tale whispered around evening campfires, a stark reminder that sometimes the darkest shadows lurk in the most unexpected corners. And as the sun sets over Turner Avenue, the silence is deafening. The houses stand tall, the streetlights flicker on, but the ghosts of the past linger. In the cracks of the pavement, the Croom family's story continues to captivate and terrify, a grim narrative that refuses to fade into oblivion. What do you think happened to Elmer Crawford? Do you believe he got away with his crime? Or is the truth still out there, waiting to be uncovered? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you've made it this far, please hit that subscribe button. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching.